Can we use that as a trend into the Brassica project, Craig? Because like I feel like that's one where you and I've talked, and it seemed so much of a like aha moment for me, but like you're just kind of like, no, like we just did this. It wasn't. I won't say it wasn't a big deal. It's critical information. What I think happened is it just finally trickled itself down to the hunting community.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little simple experiment. Wasn't that big of a deal? I mean,
seems like a big deal to us.
So what happened?
I mean, how many times have you heard, deer eat brassicas after frost because after it frosts, the starch is turned to sugar. And so once that is said, somebody will say, oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, does it make sense? Have you really thought about it? Do you know what a starch is? You know, a complex carbohydrate that ties together sugars. And so when it frosts, it releases those sugars and those sugars increase. Is that true? Have you ever heard that? So how does that actually work? And so you don't even think about it.
No.
All you think about is, oh, okay, I won't bother to hunt my brassicas until after it frosts.
Yes.
Well, that's kind of ridiculous. I would look and see, are deer visiting my brassica food plot prior to frost? And if I, wanted to hunt those deer on a brassica food plot and they're visiting them, why would I wait until after it frosts? That doesn't make any sense at all. So, you've heard this for many years.
Yeah.
I know where it came from. And so I've always thought, yeah, right. And it just one of those things. We were planting brassicas, and this was last year. And I was talking to Mark Turner, one of my current graduate students, and I said, this would be a great time for us to just look at this, send the plant material off right now, before it frosts, and then we'll do the same, in late November or December, whenever. And so we had 3 different areas where we had planted brassicas, rape, kale, turnips, and radishes, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And so, we collected the forage samples, as we do anyway, regularly on scads of food plots, as well as all the naturally occurring plants in fields and woods on properties all over the eastern United States, literally. And so we sent those off.
Can you share, Craig, as far as the brassicas, is it specifically what parts of the plant are you collecting and sending off?
The leaves and the taproot.
The taproot, cool.
Yeah. It's not a bulb, it's a taproot.
Okay.
So we collected all the samples in replication and sent them to the lab, as we do, literally hundreds of samples every year. And then we collected it again after the frost, which we also do because we look at the nutritional value of forages through the year.
Right.
As the plants mature at different times of the year, on and on. And, I didn't know what it was going to come out looking, but no, there was no difference in the sugars. And so, there was a little bit of difference in starch levels, but some were a little higher, some were a little less, that's just kind of variation.
Sure.
But clearly the starches did not turn to sugars, and there was not some great change in the sugar content of the plant. So, that's just
interesting.
It's funny though.
It's just something that somebody said.
I know. That's it.
I won't name names, but something that somebody said at one time at a particular event. And all of a sudden, that makes sense, and it just gets started.
I guess you're gonna have to tell me at some point who it was, but I've heard it come from food plot companies. I've heard food plot companies promote their brassicas once this starts to happen.
Well, they all buy in on it. Everybody buys in on it.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. That this is the disconnect.
Well, and I've believed it. I've even told people that because I was like, it seems like this is common knowledge.
Yeah, I didn't even plant brassicas this year because I was like, well, I want to hunt in October, not November.
Right.
Take me